World froze because Vegapunk's broadcast died at the juiciest moment. No one knew if the signal dropped, the island blew up, or the scientist got whacked by Straw Hat Luffy. In Alabasta, people could not believe the world government would erase the greatest brain alive over that, but they already erased King Cobra, and now they are doing the same to Vegapunk. Leo believed every rumor and started thinking Luffy really iced the old man. Rebecca told him to stop being a cartoon sidekick because that is obviously fake. On Egghead, Marines were shaking after seeing the Five Elders for the first time, especially in those demon forms that looked like nightmare cryptid. The geezers asked how many Vegapunks were still alive. York tapped into Punk Records and said only Lilith on her floor and Atlas on the Giant's ship, so the Elders ordered those two erased immediately. All they needed was York feeding Punk Record, and the death of Vegapunk would not slow them down. Meanwhile, in the lab, Kaku was furious with Stussy. He said he respected her as an agent, but to move aside because he would not stop Lucci when he came for her head. She ran off in tears. "Come here, I will give you a pity hug." Down below, Dory and Brogy celebrated like they won the World Cup because they finally reached the Giant's ship. Luffy landed with style, awed by the ship's size. Kashi had just eaten a beatdown from Doll, and Luffy ran over to greet Kashi and Oimo and immediately asked for food because priorities. Meanwhile, Bonnie was living the meme with Doll. Problem was, she turned into a kid along with Wrinkly Bluegrass and that Transformer giraffe of hers. Bonnie laughed at them, and the Vice Admiral ordered the squad to open fire. Sanji warned they had already set sail, and Nami confirmed they would slide down the clouds thanks to Edison's sacrifice, but they would need help to land. Of course, the Supreme Sim swore to protect Nami, Robin, and Lilith, even if everyone else had to swim. Usopp lost his mind because that list was all ladies, and Frankie only cared about the Sunny. Then, the real danger showed up. Marcus Mars tore through the sky ready to sink the crew. Meanwhile, Luffy had become best friends with the head chef and was eating the Giant's 10-day stock. He told the cook to keep it coming because he needed serious fuel. Mars fired a flaming Kamehameha, and the Giants raised shields to protect the insignificant humans. Easy there, bargain bin, colossal titan. They barely blocked it, but the ship caught fire. Bonnie shouted to get Stella and Kuma out before they became barbecue. The Big Bird wound up another blast, this time to erase everything. But the drums of liberation started thundering, and Luffy yelled that he was finally full. Ships began bouncing, and Marines thought the ocean had started swallowing the world. But Luffy had turned the water itself into rubber, making everyone bowing like pinball. The question that will haunt science class: if the sea is rubber now, does Luffy bounce or sink? Dory and Brogy heard festival music in those drums and started dancing in the middle of the flames, because why not? Bonnie watched everything unfolding and could only remember her and her dad doing the Nika dance together. She nearly jumped out of her skin when she saw Luffy in that form again. He invited her to help knock those monsters down, but she said she could not do it. Then Luffy said he believed in her strength, and the girl got more motivated than Sanji when there is a woman within a 5-mile radius. So she activated Distorted Future and literally began turning into Nika herself. She yelled she was completely free, and Luffy cracked up shouting he knew she had it in her. Kuma just watched, chest full of dad pride. The two danced in the sky, laughing so hard they looked like they had chugged energy drinks mixed with jet fuel. The Marines froze harder than an old Windows XP trying to open Google Chrome. They could not believe there were two Nikas. The Elders needed to act before things spiraled out of control. Emeth kept sinking into the sea, saying he had finally arrived. Luffy and Bonnie laughed like clowns who slept in the circus tent. Marines screamed that Straw Hat Luffy looked exactly like his wanted poster, and Marcus Mars called them fools because two Nikas were impossible. He said the second was just a trick of the Age Fruit. He charged up another terrifying blast, and Luffy came up with a 5-star genius plan. He said slicing or smashing would not work on the Elders, so he turned into a rubber gas tank to take the full hit. Bonnie asked if he had chicken feathers for brains. The boys screamed for everyone to hit him with everything they had. Sanji and Frankie were ready to flatten their own captain, but Bonnie was horrified. Brogy shouted to stop the party and quit dancing, like he had not been twerking a minute ago. Luffy yelled for them to hurry because the pain was unreal. He grabbed Mars by the wings so he could not move. Sanji told Bonnie that the captain's orders were absolute and unleashed an insane Ifrit jumble. Frankie followed with a monster right hook. Then Bonnie charged a Nika punch and told Luffy not to regret it later. Their attacks slammed into his back, nearly knocking him unconscious. Bonnie could not believe he was actually getting hurt, but he said of course he was, because those maniacs were using hockey instead of just nudging him for momentum. The two madmen told her to keep hitting him like she wanted to shatter every bone in his body. Bonnie's heart nearly leaped out her throat, but it was too late to back off. Rubber Monkey used all that force and sent the Elder flying to infinity, beyond, and straight toward Elon Musk's space program. Bonnie celebrated like she just won the lottery. It was finally time to escape. Luffy asked where the rest of the crew went, and Sanji said they must have already gone down. Atlas said something must have happened and blasted off like Superman to check, because York was tracking them and could be planning something. Then the Denden Mushi that fainted inside Emeth woke up hungover, and Vegapunk's broadcast resumed. But now he was rambling about inherited will, and no one understood anything because the most important part about the D was cut. Vivi was close to choking Morgans because he would not shut his beak. York said the mental waves were only cut temporarily, and to stop it forever, they had to destroy the transmitter. But how are they supposed to do that if Hakuna Matata threw the Iron Giant into the ocean and every elder has a devil fruit? Out at sea, Luffy looked up wide-eyed. He wished it was like cloudy with a chance of meatballs, but instead the sky rained chunks of the island, Cypher Pole agents, and Seraphim. It was like trash fall from Gachiakuta. Everything dropped from above like someone flipped flipped Egghead upside down. Luffy warned the giants that the eggplant-headed elder was spitting people out like Ash's Sceptile firing Bullet Seed. Then the giant sandworm started vacuuming everyone again, launching bodies into the sky. Even the colossal ship was getting dragged in, and poor Bonnie lost her strength. She snapped back into kid form and almost blew away, but Sanji caught her and instantly switched from flirt mode to protective big brother, absolutely horrified. Luffy was nearly pulled in too, so he turned Jew Peter's own pull against him. He puffed up a hockey-packed fist and smashed the worm's face with gusto. The giants roared, while the vice admirals had no idea what reality even was anymore. And as if two monsters were not enough, the raging boar came barreling back to wreck the Elbaf ship. They were totally doomed. Luffy was too far, Bonnie was out cold, and the giants were shaking like leaves. Then Luffy heard someone shout Joy Boy's name. Out of nowhere, the ships surged upward like a kraken erupted from the sea. The Iron Giant rose and delivered a colossal haymaker right into Warcurry's snout, hard enough to snap his horns. It remembered Joy Boy saying, "When the time comes, act." Everyone stood frozen, wondering where that Megazord came from. Luffy was losing his mind like the Joker after inhaling a phone charger and chugging hand sanitizer, because he was finally watching that monster robot go to work. Next episode, the Straw Hats will do everything to escape the island and the Five Elders, and something will make Bonnie so mad she will make Saturn regret being born.